it's Kari Matthews of Prairie Quilting, and today we are working on Hometown Hero. This is a perfect quilt of valor quilt, and this pattern is a free download on my website, prairiequilting.com. And the fabrics I used on this are really fun. It's from the Faith Family Freedom fabric line by Nicole DeCamp for Benertex. Okay, first we are going to make some stripe blocks, Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and sew 1/4 inch in on these strip sets. So I have the red on the top of the white. Make sure you do all of them the same so that you can, when you combine them, they'll go together nicely. Right, so now I'm combining 2 strip sets together, and I'm making sure the white and the red are going to match up towards each other, okay? Because it alternates red, white, red, white, red, white. So now we have the strip set that we just connected with 2 reds, 2 whites, and now we're adding that last strip set so that we'll have 6 all together. We'll have 3 reds and 3 whites alternating. Okay. So go ahead and do the same thing here. Okay, so now we are going to press this strip set. And I'm pressing toward the red, okay? So I'm gonna go down and just kind of press, and I'm kind of doing it this way where I kind of take my iron down that channel. Okay, and then I'll turn it over and go from the top, okay? And I'm trying to not distort it, okay? Because I don't want it to get wavy on me. So I'm trying to be careful. I'm gonna go ahead and do that for the whole length. Okay, so now the strip sets are pressed, and I'm gonna go ahead and I've given myself a clean cut on the edge over here, okay? And for this particular strip set, we're doing, they're 13-inch blocks that I'm cutting. So this should be 12.5, what we've sewn. And then we're gonna cut this row in 13. I'm gonna make 3 13-inch blocks cut from this, okay? There are 4 strip sets and that we make. And in the pattern, it shows what you are cutting from each one. Go 13 inches from the end of this block here, okay, using your ruler. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'll cut another 13. Okay, and one more 13-inch block. And I'm lining it up on the top here at the top, and then also along the side, okay? And there we go. Okay, so here is what our 12.5-inch block looks like. Okay, after we've just cut that from our strip set. And you'll need 6 of just the 12.5-inch. And then we have the 13-inch. So for 3 of the 13-inch blocks, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to measure in 3/8 an inch from the upper right up here, and then 3/8 inch from the bottom left, and I'm gonna cut along a diagonal line. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead, I'm gonna take my ruler and I'm gonna mark in on a 3/8 inch from this lower left on the bottom. Okay, and then on the top, I'm going to go in 3/8 of an inch and be very precise so that you get a nice, good diagonal line, okay? All right, and I am lining up my ruler on that 3/8 inch from the bottom and from the top up there, and then I'm going to make a diagonal cut. Okay, so now I end up with 2 triangles like this. Okay, so I'm gonna do this for 3 of the blocks, okay? And then for 2 of the blocks, so I'm gonna measure in 2 or 3/8 of an inch now. Here, I've gotta make sure you can see. Okay, so 3/8 of an inch from this lower right hand corner, okay? And then I'm gonna do it up here on the upper left, okay? And I gotta make sure that I get a good accurate, you know, spot so that I get a nice, good diagonal line. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and go from here, upper left to the lower right, okay? And okay. Okay, so now we have we're gonna cut 2 blocks like this, okay? And the reason we're cutting them differently is because the red is supposed to all be on the top, okay? And these are the setting triangles. So these 2 will be on the top and the bottom, and then the ones where we're cutting from 3 will be on the sides of the quilt. Okay, so now we come to the 14 3/4 inch block, okay? And we're gonna go in 1 1/8 inch from this upper left, okay? 1 1/8, okay? So I'm gonna get a nice, make sure I'm very accurate. And then I'm coming in down on the bottom left, 1 1/8 as well, okay? And that will be our first cut. So we're cutting, these are going to be the corner setting triangles, okay? So that's what we're doing here. All right, so now I'm lining up those two marks that I made, and we're gonna make a nice diagonal line that way. Okay, so now we have 2 weird looking blocks, okay? And now we're going to go in from the bottom left here, on this bottom left, this half of the triangle, this left triangle here. We're gonna come in 3/8 now from that bottom, just like we did before, okay? So come in 3/8 and make your mark. I have a 45-degree line here on my mat. I don't know if you can see this line, it kind of comes through here. I'm gonna kind of line that mark. All right. Okay, so now this is one of our corner setting triangles, okay? And now we have this upper left hand corner triangle that's still kind of looking weird. And I'm going to go ahead and 3/8 inch on this one from the upper left. Okay, so I made a mark there. And then I'm going to put that so that it lines up on that 45. This 45, there's another one going the opposite direction. Okay, so go ahead and line, make sure my this side is nice and on that line. All right, and now we're gonna make this 45-degree cut on that 45-degree line that was on my ruler, or on my mat here. So it's very helpful to have these mats that have the 45 degrees on them, okay? So here is another corner setting triangle. Okay, so we have that right side triangle when we cut the first cut. Okay, so we're going back to that one now. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna measure in 3/8 inch from this upper right hand corner, okay? And we are gonna go once again, kind of line that tick mark up on so that it matches with the 45, and actually this line here is on, do you see that line there? Okay, so we're lining that up too, okay? All right, so here we go. Okay, so here's another one of our setting triangles, and now we have that lower right hand triangle, okay? And we are gonna go in then 3/8 from the bottom. So we're always working our tick marks from the bottom and the top, not from the sides, okay? I mean, we're marking on the bottom and the top, in from the side 3/8 inch, okay? So see on here, if you can see, here was my 1 1/8, here's my 3/8 now, okay? Okay, so I have lined my tick mark, my 3/8 inch, up on this diagonal line here, and then the side of this block is on this vertical line, okay? And then I'm gonna go ahead and cut on this using this diagonal line as my guide, okay? And doing it this way, we don't have to have a whole bunch of weird templates to work with. Okay, and there is our last corner setting triangle. Okay, and next we will be making the star block, okay? For this one, we're gonna use half square triangles and some hourglass blocks as well. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, for the star block, we are going to do the half square triangle units first. So we are gonna go ahead and match up right sides together, that royal blue and the navy blue, okay? And we're gonna go ahead and draw our line, okay, on the wrong side, okay? And I do that on the lighter fabric so I can actually see it. And I like to start on the ends and then go down the middle. Okay, let's go ahead and sew this. Okay, we are gonna go ahead and sew a 1/4 inch from both sides. So I have my 1/4 inch foot on, and I'm just gonna go on both sides of that line, 1/4 inch. All right, we got to the end of both of those. Okay, and now we will come down the other side. Okay, so now we are going to trim on that line, and I'm going to use my rotary cutter because it's kind of a long cut here. And it doesn't really matter to be exact because the line has already, or the seam has already been done. Okay. Okay, I have our half square triangles here, and I've turned them so that the navy is on the top. We're gonna go toward that darker color, okay? And we're just pressing those open, giving them a top press. Okay, and let's clip our dog ears. And this quilt would be a great quilt of valor quilt. It's the right size for that, to honor those men and women in our armed forces. So this is a really fun patriotic quilt. Okay, and there we have our half square triangles. All right, for the hourglass blocks, we are going to match one of the blue, the royal blue, up with one of the navy star. Okay, right sides together. And then one of the royal blue or the navy blue star with the red star, okay? And we are going to do like we did with the half square triangles, okay? We're gonna just draw that diagonal line and sew on either side of it. All right, let's go to the machine. All right, so here we go, same thing. All right, and we will turn this around again. All right, and now we are going to cut on that diagonal line again. All right, let's press these open. All right, for our hourglass blocks, we put the navy star on top. Oops. And we're gonna do the same thing. We're pressing those open and we're pressing them all toward that navy, the navy star. Okay. Okay, we'll clip those corners again. All right, so now we're gonna take those the triangles, the half square triangles that we have, and we are going to draw a line on diagonal line again, perpendicular to that seam that we sewed. Okay, now we are going to match these up. We're going to offset the navies. Okay, so we have navy on both sides, and we have nested. We're going to nest those seams because we press them opposite directions. So we'll nest those, and you can kind of feel all the way along, okay? And I'm gonna put a couple pins in, and I'm not gonna put them too close because I need to sew, okay? So I need room for my presser foot, but I'm going to put those pins in so that I can hold those seams in a nested position there as I'm sewing. Okay, so let's do that on this one again. And you can just feel that with your fingers that they are butted up right next to each other. Okay, all right, here we are at the machine. We're gonna sew that 1/4 inch on both sides again. And I'm just kind of holding that in place because I can kind of feel that even just, you know, with my hands on top. Okay, and again. And notice I did not take those pins out because I need them to come back the other direction. And here I'm holding it down so it doesn't get overlapped. All right, so let's take those pins out. And now we're going to cut on that line again to separate those, and now we will be left with our hourglass blocks. Okay, okay, we'll press those open. Okay, now we have our 4/4 square triangle blocks, or the hourglass blocks. Okay, we're pressing those open, and I'm pressing toward that navy and the royal. Okay, clip the corners. Feels like a patriotic picnic, doesn't it? All right, I've laid our block out, and the reds are all going toward this white in the center, okay? And then these navy half square triangles are pointed outward, okay? So next step is we're gonna connect these up in rows. So I'm gonna, these navies are going opposite directions, so I'm nesting those seams, okay? This one, there's no seams to nest. And this one, we also have a navy seam to nest down here, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and sew those now. All right, here we are at the machine. We're gonna go ahead and just sew those two blocks together. And take your pins out. I don't usually sew with pins if there's no intersecting seams or seams that need to nest together. Okay. Okay, now we're going to connect those last blocks, and we're going to nest the seams. The navy seams, actually this one, it doesn't nest because it's the other end nests, but this one doesn't. So I'm just flipping this one seam over, and I will just kind of smash that down with the iron. Sometimes it's kind of impossible to get them all to line up, and that's okay. Okay, and that one. And this one. Okay, and this one, I need to flip this over so that my seams will nest, okay? So we'll go ahead and sew these seams. All right, let's go ahead and sew this. I'm using my needle down so that I can stop and take pins out and kind of maneuver the fabric around. All right. Okay, for pressing these, we want the rows to go in opposite directions. So the center row, I'm going toward the middle, okay, because there's no seams on that middle there, okay? And then these outer ones, I'm going away from the middle. I try to go toward the, away from the most seams as possible. Okay, and so here's where we flipped the seam, and I'm just kind of smashing it down. It's okay, there's not actually foot plates out there. And so I don't worry about it too much. So here we go. Now we have the rows put together, so now we're gonna go ahead and connect those rows up, okay? And here I have, it looks like I have a little bit of an overlap here, and it's less than 1/8 of an inch. It's gonna be okay. So I just kind of center it as best I can and make it so that I can try to hit these intersections here so that I keep good points, okay? That's mainly what I'm concerned about, is trying to get good points. Okay, and we have on the ends again, we have the nesting seam, and on this one I have to flip. So let's see here, this one also gotta flip. All right, here we go. We're gonna stop and try to get those pins before we run them over. Okay, and so I've got that 1/4 inch kind of hanging out here. I'm aiming more for this intersection here, okay? So that I can get a good point with that red block. And same on this side. Trying to get a good point. All right, and now we're gonna connect that last side. Okay, same thing. So we'll nest those seams, aim for the points. These ones actually don't have the overlap going, so that makes it nice. This one nests naturally. I don't have to force it. And so does this one. So that's good. Okay, let's go ahead and sew that last seam. All right, here we go. We're gonna go ahead and we need the needle down. And we're trying to get those good crisp points. All right, and now we're gonna go ahead and press this block and going towards the center because the center has not as many. There's no points with that white center. All right, and there is our star block. All right, our quilt blocks are assembled and ready to be put into the quilt. So the thing I would caution is all the setting triangles, they are directional. And so just watch your pattern, be careful to follow the orientation on those blocks especially. I hope you had fun, and I hope to see you soon for another project. Take care.